Money, success, wealth. We think we understand what these words mean. But what if the wealthiest people in the world aren't actually focused on money at all? Today, we're exploring a completely different way of thinking about wealth that turns everything we believe on its head.
That's such an interesting perspective shift. Most people probably think wealthy individuals are constantly checking their bank accounts and investment portfolios.
Well, here's what's fascinating. Studies have shown that ultra high net worth individuals spend less than 20% of their time thinking about money directly. Instead, they're obsessed with something entirely different: freedom. Freedom from urgency, freedom from constant worry.
Hmm. So you're saying it's more about their relationship with time and pressure than their relationship with money?
Exactly. And get this, research has found that successful entrepreneurs make an average of 3.6 decisions per day, while the average person makes over 35 decisions about money alone. It's about quality over quantity in decision making.
That's such a striking difference. But how do they manage to keep that kind of mental clarity in today's constantly connected world?
Well, it comes down to something pretty counterintuitive. They actually create what psychologists call strategic distance from urgency. They understand that decisions made under pressure have about a 67% higher chance of being reversed later.
You know, that reminds me of the concept of slow thinking that Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman talks about. The idea that our best decisions come from our slower, more deliberate thought processes.
Right. And here's what's really interesting. Wealthy people typically operate on what's called a 7-year mindset. Instead of thinking about next week or next month, they're planning and evaluating decisions based on where they want to be 7 years from now.
That's such a different time frame from how most people think about their lives and decisions.
And it shows in the results. Studies indicate that people who consistently plan in 5+ year increments are about 43% more likely to achieve their financial goals. But here's the kicker: it's not just about planning, it's about energy management.
Oh, tell me more about that energy management piece. How does that work in practice?
So get this, wealthy individuals typically limit their major decisions to 2 to 3 per day, and they have what's called a energy preservation protocol. They automatically disengage from situations that drain their mental resources.
That's fascinating. It's like they're treating their mental energy as a finite resource that needs to be protected.
Exactly. And research shows they spend an average of 2.5 hours per day in complete silence. No phones, no meetings, no input, just thinking and processing.
But in today's world, how do they handle the pressure to always be available, always be connected?
Well, here's something surprising. Successful people are actually 3 times more likely to say no to commitments than the average person. They understand that every yes is actually saying no to something else.
That's really powerful when you think about it. It's about being intentional with your time and energy.
And here's another fascinating pattern. Wealthy people tend to make what researchers call clean exits. They leave situations at the first sign of misalignment, not when things become unbearable. Studies show this early exit strategy prevents about 70% of major business and personal losses.
So it's really about being proactive rather than reactive in all these areas.
Precisely, and perhaps most importantly, they design their lives first, then build their work around that. Research shows that people who follow this life first approach are 58% more likely to report both high wealth and high life satisfaction.
That's really turning the traditional approach on its head, isn't it? Most people do exactly the opposite.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Wealth isn't about the numbers in your bank account. It's about how you move through life, how you make decisions, and how you protect your most valuable resources: your time, your energy, and your peace of mind.
You know what I love about this whole perspective? It means anyone can start developing these habits and mindsets right now, regardless of their current financial situation.
That's exactly right. Because at its core, wealth isn't about accumulation, it's about alignment. And that's something we can all start working on today. If you listen closely to people who live well, you'll notice something unusual. They don't rush their words. They don't rush their decisions. And they don't rush themselves. This is not because they have more time. It's because they experience time differently. People often ask what rich people do differently. But the more useful question is what they don't do. They don't live in constant urgency. They don't react to every emotion. And they don't let fear dictate their choices. One of the quiet shifts wealthy people make is how they relate to pressure. Pressure doesn't disappear in their lives. They just don't internalize it the same way. They understand that feeling rushed is usually a signal that something is misaligned. So instead of pushing harder, they pause. They ask themselves what actually matters right now and what doesn't. That pause alone changes the quality of their decisions. Another thing they understand is that money follows clarity, not effort, not exhaustion, clarity. When your inner world is calm, your outer world becomes easier to organize. When your thoughts are scattered, even small problems feel overwhelming. Wealthy minds invest in mental space before they invest in anything else. They also know that not everything deserves a response. This is difficult for many people. There's a strong urge to explain, to defend, to be understood. But rich people are selective. They don't give their energy to conversations that go nowhere. They don't argue with people who aren't open to listening. They understand that attention is a form of currency, and they spend it carefully. You'll notice something else too. They don't need constant reassurance. They trust themselves enough to sit with uncertainty. They don't panic when things are unclear. They don't force decisions prematurely. They know that clarity arrives when you allow things to unfold naturally. This patience is often mistaken for confidence. In reality, it's self-trust. Another subtle difference is how they view comfort. Most people chase comfort to escape discomfort. Rich people use comfort to support focus. They create environments that feel steady, not indulgent. They understand that chaos is expensive. A calm environment leads to better thinking. Better thinking leads to better outcomes. They also know when to step away. Not in anger, not dramatically, but quietly. They leave situations that no longer align with who they're becoming. They don't wait until things fall apart. They listen when something feels off. Walking away early is not failure, it's awareness. And finally, rich people understand something that changes everything. Life doesn't reward urgency, it rewards alignment. When you stop rushing, stop proving, and stop reacting, you create space for better choices to emerge. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to hustle harder. You just need to notice where you're leaking energy and gently close those doors. That's where a wealthy life begins. Not in your bank account, but in how you move through your day,